everyone? Welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I am Shay Alushina, and today I'm here with Tim Edwards, owner of Splatter Charlotte and co-founder of Residency Charlotte.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
And it is the morning.
It is bright and early in the morning. You and I were just having this conversation, and so I know you recently got married.
Yes, I did. On December 14th, I got married.
Okay, we are December 22nd.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wait, not of this past year.
No.
You've been married for a little bit.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary.
Oh, very
cool.
So then you've been together for a while.
Yes, coming up on 10 years.
Coming up on 10 years?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so you met when you were in college.
Yep, we met freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we'd seen each other. We lived in, I'm not super smart. I lived in the honors dorm. I had them fooled. I got kicked out the honors program after like the first semester. So I was just living there. I wasn't one of them, but she was. And so we had all these meetings for different things like social events, and I would see her, and then it was just kind of like, oh, that's her. And then around Thanksgiving that year, some unfortunate circumstances led us to meeting, and I was able to, fortunate enough to be a friend to her in some tough times for her and her family. And then I was like, she's kind of cool. And so we just kind of kicked it the rest of our freshman year, and that was it.
But no romantic stuff
absolutely
at that
not.
point.
Like I was like, no, she was
Just handshakes.
basically.
Good doing business with you.
But yeah, it was, we wanted nothing to do with each other in that way, but we spent a lot of time together, and people were like, are you guys dating?
So
I'm
everybody
like, "No."
thought you were dating.
Exactly. And well, we were not. And then summer in between freshman and sophomore year, she came down to visit Carowind's sister park, Kings Dominion in Richmond, where I lived. And she came down, spent the day with me. It was her roommate at the time and her boyfriend. And she'd never been to an amusement park. So I took her to an amusement park, put her on all these roller coasters.
Just the two of you?
Four of us, yeah. And
I didn't know if you were like, you guys stay back. We're going to go on a little date right now.
No. It was all of us. And we spent the whole day together. And I'm like, I missed her from seeing her at school all the time. And I'm like, that has to mean something. And so getting back to school, I was like, all right, you got to make a decision. Yeah. And do you remember like drop add date, like the last date that you could decide if you were going to add a class or drop?
Yeah, right.
So this is bad timing, but drop add date that year fell on 9/11. And I was like, this is the day I got to figure out if I'm interested in her or not. I was like, so 9/11 is going to be, because I got to figure out my classes and I got to figure out what I'm doing with her. So I gave myself a
Did those have anything to do with each other, or it was just
it was more so for me, it's like, you got to figure out what this next semester is
Am I going to drop her, or am I going to add her?
Basically, and classes. And so I'm a hopeless romantic. I took her to the horticulture garden on campus, had some roses and everything, and asked her, and she was like, she turned white as this canvas before the paint. And I was like, oh, I broke her. This is bad. Like, this is very bad.
Did you just ask her, do you want to go on a date with me?
No, I was like, do you want to be my girlfriend? I wasn't asking her on a date. Like,
because you'd already basically gone on dates.
Like, we've been hanging out nonstop. Yeah. And she was like, I'll let you know by tomorrow. And then I'll let you know by tonight. And I'm not pressuring her. I'm just like talking, and she's just kind of shocked. And we're sitting on this bench. My biology professor sees us as walking through this horticulture garden while we're on this bench, and just stops and looks at me, and I'll tell you, with these roses, she just goes, well, hello there. And I was like, please go away. Please go away. I don't want to see you. And eventually she goes, you know what? I want to say yes. And I'm like, no pressure. She was
at that time.
Yeah, she was like,
she didn't wait the day.
No.
Because that's a real nightmare situation.
Well, it still turned into a nightmare because 5 hours later, I got the we need to talk text. And I was like, I've been in my room. I haven't even done anything. I can't be in trouble.
Yikes.
And then she was like, I don't think I can do this. And I was like, and when I say hopeless romantic, I cried myself to sleep.
Sure.
Like boohooed.
Boohoo.
Boohooed in the stairwell of my dorm, like just bawling. I was just like, this is it. Like, this is it. I'm done for. And the next day she texted me and she was like, hey, Ashley, I want to talk. I'm like, she slept on it, realized she made a mistake. She's come around.
Great.
She's going to reach out and hold my hand and say, I just want to make sure I'm not
We
going
can
to
hold
lose.
hands if you want. If
I'm
that's
just
what
going
you're
to make
about
sure
to
I'm
do.
not going to lose you as a friend. Oh my God. I left that room right back to bed, cried myself to sleep again. That I was like, this girl is ruining me.
No.
Is this not bad?
This is awful.
Like, right. It was a month and a half later. Like, I literally went home. I was in such bad shape. I went home. I was like, I need to go see my family. I went home. I was like, I got to get away from this place. Also, I'm hearing that now all the guys have heard that she said no to me. They're all coming out the woodwork to ask her out. And I'm hearing about this because we all live in the same dorm. I'm distraught. So I'm like, I got to get out of here. A month and a half later of sometimes we speak, sometimes it's ice cold. She came back and was like, yes. And that was
But what changed? What happened?
October 29th, 2015. Yeah. And then
The real question that I have though is, did you add or drop that biology class?
so biology was from the year before, so it was
Okay,
already,
well,
so
then
she
never
was a past professor. I didn't drop any classes though, so I was in good
love that.
shape. So
You just started adding everything.
yeah, it was stressful. It was
Sounds stressful.
Yeah, it was stressful. I'm telling the nice version of the story, but
That was a nice version.
there are some blunders made on both ends during
Oh, my
that
goodness.
month and a half where I may or may not have delivered a typed up handwritten note with some edible arrangements telling her how I think she was making a mistake to her room.
It's a bold choice. It's a bold move.
Oh, her roommate later, I went back, I was like, that was maybe a little hot. Her roommate just looked at me and goes, she is not happy with you. I was like, ooh.
Ooh,
No, but it's okay. We got through it. We just celebrated
You
5
sure-
years.
you sure
5
did.
years of marriage. But yeah.
And every year on your anniversary, she gets an edible arrangement
with
with a typed up note.
She kept the notes. She kept them. I was like, why? We got married. She goes, I just want to have them just in case. I was like, in case of what? Like,
Yeah.
what? We're together now, 10 years.
I feel like
what?
that's actually a sign that she was into it the whole time. That she wanted it, but she just wasn't
Oh,
sure.
Tim, let me
so
tell you-
she's holding on to those notes because she's like, this is going to mean something someday.
She told me after we started dating, she goes, when I told you no, I always knew I was going to end up with you, but just not at that moment.
Why would you do that?
I was like, you think you could have just let a guy know? Like, hey,
Yeah.
just give me some time to figure out my thoughts, but I do want to be with you.
Just whisper that. I'm only joking.
Like, so yeah,
playing
that was our story.
She is red right now.
Okay, you and your wife, how did you guys meet?
We met on Hinge, on a
Okay.
dating app.
Success story.
Yes,
Okay.
for sure. And we went to, this was in 2021. It was like right at the time where vaccines for COVID-19 were coming out. And so we had both gotten vaccinated. And I said, like, let's go on a dinner date somewhere. There's this new restaurant that just opened in Plaza. I don't know anything about it. It's called Supperland. And she went, yeah, I'll go to Supperland. And I didn't know that it was one of the most expensive restaurants in Charlotte.
You were gonna be paying
when
for
we
it.
got to this restaurant, we sat at the bar and I opened up this menu and I was like, oh no.
You've made a mistake.
What have I done? I'm such an idiot. And so by the time we leave the bar to go sit at our seats, I'm already like $70 into a
jeez.
first date, which is like, I was just like, at this point, I deserve this as punishment, like for not looking at this menu beforehand. She's fantastic. She's really cool, but like this is just too much to spend for a first date. So like I paid for the dinner and she offered to pay, offered to pay for half of it, which was very nice. But I said, no, like I'll pay for it. And luckily everything worked out. So that was fantastic. Our next date was like, do you want to go on like a walk in a park or something?
We got to balance out.
No, I think we actually went to dinner again, but like it was fantastic. And so we dated for a couple of years and we had like moved in together and I knew that I wanted to propose to her. And so I had, it was right before I had gotten the ring because we went and looked at rings together. I was like, I really want to propose at Supperland because that would be like, we also went back to Supperland every year on our anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow the tradition is that I pay for the meal, which I don't know that I'd love, but I'm just joking. I was like, I really want to propose at Supperland. I think that'd be really fun. And she told me, if you propose in like a restaurant or in like a big public place, I will probably say no because I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't love like everybody, all this pressure, and people staring at me. And I totally understand that. But I still really wanted to do it there. So I reached out to the owners of Supperland and said, would you let me in at a time when the restaurant is closed so that I can be the only one in the room? And then she can walk into this beautiful, huge room, and it's just me standing there. And they said yes. And so
shout out to Sutherland.
yeah, for real. It really helped me out. And so she thought she was going on a dog photo shoot with her sister because they both I have my dog is a German Shepherd, but her dog is Haley's dog is a miniature golden doodle, and then her sister's dog, her sister lives in Charlotte, is like a black Labrador mixed with a couple of other things. And they really love their dogs, and they're so adorable. So they wanted to do like a photo shoot together.
Oh, that's cute.
I had planned this photo shoot and like paid for the photographer, everything. They were doing it on the patio of Supperland. And that day, Haley was like, I'm doing this because Cassidy asked me to, and my mom is going to comment on it if I don't get my nails done or get my hair done. So I'm just going to go do those things. And I was like, that sounds fantastic. She's wearing cool clothes. She's getting like modeling photo shoots.
Oh, this is good.
So she's all ready for it. And they do this photo shoot for 15 minutes. And then her sister says, let me take your dog. Why don't you head inside? And Haley was like, what? It's closed. I'm not going inside. And Cassidy said, bye, we love you. And then just walked away. And Haley walked up these stairs to the front door. And then finally she opened the door and knew what was happening. And I was standing there, and she took the day off of work to like be with her sister and stuff, and just kind of have this like fun little treat to themselves. And first thing I said when she walked through the door was, boy, am I glad you took the day off. So she got there. We talked for a little while. I did the proposal. She said yes, thankfully. And then she was like, I want to go tell my parents, or like, I want to go call my parents and talk to my sister. And I said, we can't do that right now because your parents and my parents and your sister are back at our house with lunch. And she did not know, and they all live out of town. Everybody lives out of town. So she didn't know that they were coming.
Well done.
So they all got there in the time that Haley left to go do this photo shoot. We go back to the house, and then we went back to Supperland for dinner that night. It went fantastic.
Sir,
it was a couple of months of planning of like,
good job.
How do we get into this room? What the photographer was like, the lighting looks great in here. It was really, really fun.
Oh man, that is great.
Yeah.
You talk about full circle. We actually went back to that same horticulture garden, and that is where I proposed as
No,
well.
you didn't.
Yeah, right. It was 4 days before Christmas, and they have these really cool string lights in the horticulture garden that they turn on at night. Mm-hmm. And I got my mentor's son, who was in high school, but I knew he could work a camera. And I'm like, hey, I just need you to take a few pictures.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. He was like, dude, the string lights aren't working. And so all day he's like, we got to figure out, he's like running around trying to find facilities people, like, hey, can you get these lights working? His mom is a pastor, and it's 4 days before Christmas. He went to the church and took all the Christmas candles and set them up.
I'll be back.
Literally took them all. And he was like, where do you want it? And he's sending me pictures of different places in the garden. And then he sent me a picture of the bench where I asked her. And I said, that is where we do it.
Wow.
And so we got engaged right by the same bench where we had that conversation 4 years before.
And she was like, give me a month and a half.
Dude,
I'll think about it.
Is that not nerve-wracking still? Like, you're with this person. You love this person.
Let me talk to you tomorrow about it.
Right. And I was just like, well, I asked her in German. My wife is German.
Really?
So I said the will you marry me part in German. And all your life, you ask someone to marry you. You're looking for what? Yes.
Yeah.
This girl looked at me and said, yeah. And I was like, oh, excuse me? I'm like, oh, that is the German. I was like, that is the German yes. I'm like, oh, she did say yes. But I was so nervous. I'm like.
Do you remember how to say, will you marry me in German?
Ooh. Willst du mich heiraten? That's rough.
You nailed it.
Yeah, it's real rough.
I think you
But I figured it out. I can say I love you, and that's all I need to know now for right now. So Supperland, is that one of your favorite restaurants?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, what other restaurants do you guys go to for like casual, fancy?
Somebody that you've interviewed recently, Bryan Li at Open Rice. We love Open Rice.
It's such a cool experience.
One of our favorite restaurants in Charlotte. Certainly
really
for Asian cuisine, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
Just because there's like so many different dishes. Obviously, you can do dim sum there, but things like the char siu pork ribs that they have are one of my favorite dishes. We always do. Actually, she got takeout from there last night,
your favorites are your favorites.
Yeah. Like Singapore noodles, Thai chili eggplant, all of these wonderful dishes. We just absolutely love them. We also really love Tacos El Nevado on Central Avenue, down like if you go out of Plaza and just kind of there's also one in South End, but the burrito tacos there are so fantastic. We get so many different dishes. It's always just like how many different
Can you put
things
on the
can we
table?
share at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. So we really do love trying new restaurants in Charlotte, though.
Yeah.
It's like one of our favorite things to do.
What's a new one that you guys have tried recently that you're a big fan of?
A new one that we
Or that you
tried
had a good
recently.
experience at?
Yeah. Trying to think of something that we tried recently that isn't just like a staple for us. We really love Toscana in South Park. They have a couple of like different
Okay.
restaurants.
I've seen their sign before.
Yeah. We also just went to Stagione as well on Providence. Yeah, look at his face. On Providence Road. That Tartufi pizza is like something to die for. Their focaccia is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it.
So this is crazy. I love Stagione's, where
Yeah.
I go for my birthday every year.
Wow.
Well, because of this, so we were doing an episode and somebody shouted out Stagione's and had like a little clip about it. So I clipped it, put it out there, ended up interviewing Bruce Moffett.
Really?
The guy behind Stagione's,
Yeah.
Good Food on Montford. Since then, this is probably our 22nd, 23rd interview.
Mm-hmm.
Half the people have mentioned Stagione's.
It's a fantastic place.
I was on the phone with him about something, and I was just like, I just want to let you know, like, you have one of the most popular restaurants out of anyone on my list. He was like, really? I was like, I'm telling you, at least 50% of people come on and say Stagione's is incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
It's so
Also, another restaurant that's like it's a more casual place, but I can't get enough of it is Maddie's Diner because it's on the Plaza.
Okay.
And it's like the actual diner from New Jersey. They picked it up and moved it. So it's like one of those aluminum sided diners that's like very shiny. They picked it up and moved it to Charlotte, and it's got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So many different options on the menu, but everything is like their breakfasts are pretty intense. Like they've got a lot of different elements to them, but it just feels so cool. You're sitting at the booth where you've got like the little personal jukebox right next to you.
Yeah.
And we always play this game where we like look at all of the songs that are on our page of the jukebox to try and guess which one the other one is like thinking of right now. The people who work there are so fantastic. I love an open kitchen because like sitting at the bar and seeing into where people are cooking. It's one of my favorite things since I love to cook. So Maddie's Diner is definitely up there with like the places that we go all the time. It's just one of on our regular list. For sure. Yeah.
So you like to cook? Do you do a lot of cooking at home?
I do a lot of cooking.
Do you grill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I grill. I mean, I bake. I do a lot of different things.
My grill's her name is Big Bertha. And she's an essential part in our family dynamic. So as the weather starts to warm up, Big Bertha is probably the thing that gets posted most on my social media.
Yeah.
Because it is a very special,
when you're on the grill, what is your meal of choice on the grill? Like, what are you doing?
Ooh. So I like to grill for people.
Yeah.
And so an easy one that makes most people happy is wings.
Yeah.
So I've got a few. The one that I really mastered last year was a honey bourbon wing recipe. So like you marinate the wings in this marinade, and then you take the marinade, once the wings are on the grill, you have a stovetop beside the grill. I cook down the sauce and then continually brush the wings as they continue to cook, so all the flavor really gets cooked in there.
Wow. Oh, so it's just like kind of layering up, almost like you would do with ribs.
Yeah,
just kind of
exactly.
Wow.
And so that's one of my go-to. But anything tastes better on the grill. Anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you said I like to grill for people because grilling for one is kind of sad.
I've done it before, and it just really
doesn't
to
do
sit
the
down
same
and eat
thing.
the meal and not get like anybody saying like, "Oh yeah, this is fun." It's just like it's me just there, my chicken or whatever it is. Okay, I want to talk about last night. I was not expecting to see you last night. This is the second time.
I wasn't expecting to see you either.
This is the second time that this has happened where I see a guest the day before I'm shooting with them. The other one was Heather with Dish Course, and I saw her at a brewery.
Oh, she's great. She's so fun.
I saw her at a brewery, and she has really distinct tattoos.
Yeah.
And I was like, honey, I think that's Heather. And she turned around, and I was like, Heather? She was like, do I know you? I was like, yeah, I'm Shay. We're shooting tomorrow. She goes, oh, no way. So I saw you at Shameless Improv last night.
Yep. We were
That was
performing
incredible.
We were performing at Lenny Boy Brewing in South End, and it was so fun. There was probably, I don't know, like 200 something people there, 220 people.
It rained last night, and so I saw the email that said like probably get there at 7. Show starts at 7:30, and I'm like, well, with this rain, there's no way everyone's gonna be there. I'm like, so if we get there at 7:15, we should be in good shape.
Yeah.
Wrong. Get there at 7:15. There was a sign that said lot full, and so you're driving around trying to figure. We had to go figure out somewhere else to park.
Really?
And then we walk in, and I'm like, whoa! To see all these Ubers coming up, dropping people off. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
You guys put on a great show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's like a real treat for us to be able to perform for that many people, because it's a different kind of show for sure. It's sometimes when you are doing improv shows, there are oftentimes crowds somewhere between 20 and 50 people.
Yeah.
And so that's a crowd that's really intimate, where they're kind of listening to everything that's happening. So you can really go much slower with everything you're doing, because it's a little bit more like a play.
Yeah.
Like it's something where you're you can be more patient with everything you're doing, but with a big crowd like that, you kind of have to grab people's attention pretty quickly. So doing big characters, huge, like loud movements, and just making everything very energetic is kind of the name of the game when you're performing for that many people. Because you need to make sure that you're capturing the attention of the people who are in the front row, but also like 20 rows back.
Yeah.
You need to be able to grab there rather than them talking.
Yeah, objectively, I love stand-up comedy, and so that has been how I consume comedy in person. And so after we interviewed Bryan was like, hey, you got to come out. I'm like, cool. And I really went into it. I'm like, I trust Bryan. I'm not sure I can talk myself into, like, if it's bad comedy, it's bad comedy to me.
Sure.
And I don't fake it. So I'm like, I laugh because something really makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope this is really great. And dude, we were cracking up. Part of the funniest thing too, though, and that's different than stand-up, is when you guys are asking for answers, part of the comedy of it is the answers that people throw back out to you guys. That like there was a question that I got asked, was like, hey, a funny text from a group chat. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, there's, no, I'm not. It was like, I'm not reading that. Yeah, I'm not reading that. Yeah. We were discussing on our way home last night, like what some of our favorite bits were. And you were in one of them. It was the Shakespeare verse.
Like the country accent. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Thanks, man.
I don't, what is her name?
Carol.
She's fantastic.
Carol's so fun. She's also a stand-up comedian as well, and she's like got an absolutely amazing comedic sense. She's just so funny.
She was fantastic, and to me, what's cool is how quickly you guys have to you're switching the accent, but you're also switching sometimes like what the next scene is immediately like that, and the one where you guys like rotate, like shift left, shift right. Like to remember you're playing two different parts depending on which way you're going. Yeah. And I'm like, this just looks like you guys are having more fun, that if nobody else is in the room, you guys would still be doing it.
That's exactly right. It's like, it is so much fun for us that it's almost like we're just kind of doing it for ourselves a little bit. And people happen to be in the room watching us, because when we're having fun, that's when everybody else is having fun. If we are so focused on like, I've got to make this section of the crowd laugh right now, it's kind of like you strangle it too much, and then you don't get what you want.
You force it a little bit.
Exactly. And forcing it, people can smell that from a mile away. Yeah. So like you said, good comedy is good comedy and bad comedy is bad. It's possible, and it's kind of like a little bit of a high wire act for an improv show to really not go well. Like there's just some times where you're not connecting with the audience, or they're not liking what you're putting out. And that's just kind of the way that you have to roll with those punches and see like what little avenues you can find to please what they want. But we've got a really great crew of people that are all individually very talented, and then when you put those people together, you kind of see sparks fly, which is really, really fun. Yeah,
it was electric. I will definitely be coming back for more shows.
I haven't been lifted up for a Dirty Dancing bit like that in a long time.
Dude, I was waiting for them to call like switch or freeze, and I'm like, no, they're gonna let this play out. I was like, because they also want to see how well this is gonna go, and I was like, if he falls, it's gonna get real ugly. But yeah, you guys.
The guy who lifted me up his name is Tony, and he's kind of made of rubber. Like he is so physical all the time, and he'll throw himself across the stage and slam on the ground and
he
stuff.
seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah, I think he does. But it's really fun to play with it because like when we did the game Good Cop, Bad Cop, where we're interrogating him and trying to get him to guess what we wanted. Beforehand, he goes like, rough me up. I'm not afraid to like be hit a little bit. So like, don't worry about taking too much care of me. I can take it. And we were like, Tony, we're not gonna actually
like, we're not gonna hurt
He's
you.
like, hurt me.
Okay, if you're asking for it, like if you really want it. Who was was it DJ or TJ?
DJ, yeah.
Was he kept kissing his bald head? I was like,
he was licking his bald head at one point. This show is sounding a little bit more risque than I thought it would, but it was really fun to see him like go after that over and over again.
I was like, what is happening to this poor man?
I mean, anybody would love to be kissed by DJ.
So, but yeah, you guys put on a great show. I look forward to coming out to more of them. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I want to ask you about the city that we live in and both love. You're from here, correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Waxhaw, which is like 40 minutes.
Yeah. What has your relationship evolved to with the city of Charlotte? Being someone who's from here, now what the city is, what are some of those, were there moments where you were a big fan of the city, where you thought you might leave because the city wasn't what you wanted, and then now that we're here, what are some of those things that you're just so proud of for Charlotte?
So when I was growing up, like all the way down in Waxhaw, basically there was a bunch of like horse farms around my house. Like there was just, there wasn't really too much going on.
Yeah.
And downtown Waxhaw is now like a bustling place. There's so many people there. It's really, really fun. But at the time, it was just kind of like a one-road town. And there was a train track that ran right through it. There just wasn't a lot going on for young people specifically. And Uptown was basically the Belk Theater and McCormick and Schmick. Those are the only two things that you could really do. South End at that time had nothing happening except for like the Fat Burrito was there. So it was like if you kind of knew places to go, then you could go there. But or like Amos South End. But I was 17, so I couldn't really get into a lot of the things that I wanted to do. And so I thought that it was kind of a little bit boring as somebody who like wanted to go to a big city. So I went away to college in New Orleans, and then I went to grad school in Baltimore, at two really like big built up cities, and got to experience a lot of different life. And then I came back after grad school. I came back to Charlotte, and I found that it was just on the cusp of like really changing a lot. And obviously in the last 3 or 4 years, that has been dialed up to 11. But even back in 2016, there was a lot of stuff that was happening. South End was now incredibly popular. Plaza was like getting a little bit more popular. Noto had just sort of stayed exactly where it was in popularity for a long time, just as like an arts district. But I've sort of found that as an adult, I got to kind of rediscover the city that I thought I knew a lot about. And it turns out I didn't really know anything about it because I was so far, I was like 40 minutes away.
Yeah, Maxwell's a little bit outside the city.
So I moved into Uptown and started sort of just interacting with the community members and different neighborhoods and walking around and biking around a lot. And I thought that it was such a beautiful small city that was eventually going to turn into something a little bit bigger. And I'd say now that it's definitely grown in size, certainly by population, but also by the number of things to do. I mean, anybody who says that Charlotte has nothing going on is flying blind right now. Like they are asleep because they don't see, they're just not searching for the fun things that you can do in the city.
Like an improv show on a Friday night.
Sure, exactly. An improv show, live music, like art galleries, live art, people painting things that are like in front of you. Different performance art I think is so interesting. All the culinary experiences that have just exploded in the city is something that I don't take for granted, so we try and experience as much of it as we can. Even more public places, something like a Camp North End, walking through Noda, Freedom Park, doing things during the day, not just at night, make it so that it's a very livable city for people of kind of any age and whatever you're into. There's enough people here that you can find your niche, for sure.
We've done some traveling recently, and one of the things that I've seen is that certain places, their city becomes alive at night, and that's where things just start to happen. And I feel like our city is one that, like, during the day, our city is really
Yeah.
fun. Like, I actually would say, like, sometimes I have the most fun when the sun is out
Yeah.
in our city because, like, there's stuff to do and we have pretty good weather most, like, 8,
Yeah.
9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So it's like you can be outside and people are like, when we first got here, this was the first time I was not in college. And so this is like my first time being like an adult somewhere. And we'd spend a Saturday, Sunday, brewery hop with a friend, go sit down on a patio, eat lunch, go to the pool. And I'm like, we get to do this as adults just because we want to.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody, like, this is like real life. And I'm
Cereal
like,
for dinner, we can do whatever we
like,
want.
right? I'm like, this is fun. Like, but I enjoy that our city has so much to offer.
Yeah.
Daytime, nighttime, whatever your interest is. Like, that is one of the big reasons that I'm doing this podcast is like, look, if you've got your head buried in your pillow or on your couch, here are some really cool things that are happening in the city. Go check out this restaurant, go check out this comedy show, go check out this yoga studio. Like, go check out what our city has to offer because it's great. And people who move here are seeing that. And so I want the people who've been here a long time to also realize, like, hey, you need to give your city a chance.
I totally agree. The idea that people come to Charlotte and they're like, there's nothing to do. There's no good food here. Like, it baffles me that you would not be able to find something that you like here, because also so many people who live and work here are transplants from somewhere else.
Yep.
So if you really think that, oh, there's no like great pizza place, there's no good like bagel place, then I think it might be more of a problem with you.
Like, you're not getting out to search because a lot of these chefs that do really well, that've got these special restaurants, they're not from Charlotte.
No.
So it's like, if you're complaining about food, what do you eat when you go to other cities? Like, what are you actually eating? Because they bring that same kind of food here because they are from those areas. So I
totally agree.
I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, and I don't think that I think those people need to be left behind.
Is there something you hope for our city as we continue to evolve? Like, if you had a bucket list and a blank check to Charlotte and you said, I have 2 things that I want. Okay,
so the commercial real estate in Charlotte is a really big problem right now for small businesses. And I'd say that small businesses have a home in Charlotte, but it's because of other small business efforts, things like Front Porch Sundays that have sort of given people a little bit of a platform to make their business come alive. But if you want to get a brick and mortar place to really help your business take off, then it is incredibly expensive to do that. But I believe that the reason it's incredibly expensive is because commercial real estate developers are coming into a place like where we're at right now, like in Villa Heights going into Noda, and they charge an exorbitant amount for their space, something that like normal small businesses probably wouldn't be able to take on that amount of risk. And so what ends up happening is that commercial real estate space, a retail store, is really only available to something like a national chain or a chain that has locations in 17 different cities, and they're coming into Charlotte, and that bothers me to no end. I cannot stand the idea that let's say in Plaza Midwood, that new huge apartment building is going up right in the middle of Plaza Midwood called The Row. Of the retailers that are going into The Row, one of them has a location that has only one other location. Every other retailer that's going into that development has locations in at least 10 different cities across the United States. So a multi-state retailer, a multi-state restaurant, something that already has a really established following, coming into a neighborhood that has so historically been about small business, taking that money and then moving it back out to their headquarters that's in Ohio or Los Angeles, to me is the most ridiculous thing that Charlotte could be doing for the small business community. So the thing that I want to see change is commercial real estate developers, as well as like Charlotte partners who are in the government, making small business a higher priority in the Charlotte area, because without those small businesses being able to open retail stores, being able to sort of live out their dream, this city will become every other city and not really have its own cultural identity because, oh, you guys have a Jenny's ice cream, so does Atlanta, so does Nashville, so does DC. Like, it's everywhere. So like, we don't need another. What we need is a small business that's going to come in and make their dream come true.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to attract more people to the city and make it a more vibrant place to live. That plus, I think, heavier investment in the arts community. I recognize that we're sitting in an art studio, but the thing that makes a city a fun place to live is the artistic community that is there.
Yeah.
It isn't simply about, oh, there's a headquarters there. So I mean, you want that, go to like Bentonville, Arkansas. Like, go and sit in a headquarters in a town that is just somewhere else, but it doesn't really matter where it is, because that headquarters could be anywhere. But if you want a city that has a cultural identity, something that people, when they come to our town, they say like, oh, that is a very distinctly Charlotte thing. You need to invest in the people who are going to make that culture come to life.
Well said, sir. Well said.
I will tell you, I get pretty fired up about the idea
I appreciate it.
Like, it's one of my prime examples of this is in Plaza Midwood, not in that big development, but very close to it. There's a corner location that is a prime real estate in Plaza Midwood. I think that a small business would do well to be in that spot, because they would really help their brand and also produce probably just as much money as the current brand that's in there, but they would take that money and put it back into the community. Is Dave's Hot Chicken. So Dave's Hot Chicken has locations in a ton of different cities around the US, but they get that corner spot because they can pay for it. They can afford it, and a small business can't afford it. So in that same development, seemingly overzealous, the vegan, dairy-free ice cream, which is absolutely fantastic, has opened up their second location, because they have one in Camp North End. They're doing fantastic, but it's like it was already like an ice cream place, and it's changed hands a few times. I think seemingly overzealous is a wonderful retailer, but it isn't enough. Like, we need to take that exact same thing that's happening, where somebody was able to take the risk and make enough money to be able to move into a prime real estate location, and give that same opportunity to somebody else who's going to take that torch and bring it even further.
Yeah.
And a Jimmy John's is not it. We don't need another chain. Yeah. I need to see what you want. I need to see what you want to be in that spot, which is why I'm such a huge advocate for small businesses in Charlotte and creativity coming from the people who live here, rather than it being some franchised like system that just gets plopped down in the middle of your city and they say like, feed me.
Yeah, it's weird when we have friends come here and they're like, oh, we have this in our city, and it's DC or Atlanta or wherever they're coming from. And I'm like, yeah, us trying to figure out what our identity is as a city isn't helped by the fact that we just adopt everything from everywhere else. And when I think of, there's one development that I cannot remember the name of it that just opened, and they brought in like 4 or 5 Charlotte businesses into the retail space. And I saw this going around, and they're like, yes, this is what Charlotte needs to be doing.
That's
more
Camp
of.
North End. That's at Camp North End. They just opened, they have their new apartment building.
Yeah, and so it's like 4 or 5.
Yes, and they're all local retailers. That is what Charlotte development needs to be.
Absolutely, because like that's where, the one that I think about is food trucks. How many good food trucks have you had that it's like, I wish I could go to consistently or know where you're going to be consistently, but the rent to open up a restaurant is so astronomical here. Yeah. And then, I mean, food, varying costs, like that's a headache for them. So you can't afford like this expensive rent that like you don't know if you're gonna make it. No. The other side of that, you said commercial. Mine is homes for people here in Charlotte. Yeah. Because
that's spiraled out of control.
Yeah, I struggle when there was a new development down Tryon. Townhomes, like nice townhomes in a good area that if someone could buy that home in 10, 15 years, they're building some good wealth for themselves and their family. They built all these townhomes, and then the builders didn't sell any of them and kept them all and said, we're just gonna lease them. Yeah. And I'm like, no. I was like, so this whole idea, they're like, there are not enough homes in Charlotte. And so now the developer can say, oh, there are, but we're just not selling them to you. Right. And I'm like, that sucks. I'm like, people, like that was the American dream for so long. Go to college, buy a house, have a family. It's like, you cannot buy a house now. Like single people are not buying houses anymore. No. Like you need a roommate, friends, a spouse, a partner, or something, because it's just not possible. And I struggle with the idea that oh, now companies like Zillow can now also list houses, but they're also the one pricing houses. And I'm like, doesn't this feel like a monopoly of the game here where you're not giving people a chance? We live on the west side of Charlotte and historically black side of town, and seeing how many of these homes get bought up and they throw something massive that the people who have lived there for years cannot live in. And we bought a new townhome over there, and we're walking through it, and this is the moment where I realized it was really a problem. This woman was walking her dog, and I thought she might have lived in one of the houses that was already built. So I got excited. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, you live over here? And she snapped. She was like, no. She's like, I think these things look ridiculous and don't belong. And I was like,
fair.
Oh. And I was like, that helped reframe how I was thinking about it. It's like, yeah, like some of these people, these houses have been passed down for 2-3 generations. And all of a sudden, 5,000 square foot house here, 2,500 square foot house here, and like the 1,200 square foot house looks really weird in the middle. And it's like they get offered some money for it, but then it's not enough for what's going to end up going there later. So,
but it's wild that when you're driving through neighborhoods in Charlotte, and there's all these wonderful craftsman homes, really classic neighborhoods that have a lot of character, and then just like a big modern block right in the middle of it.
It is something.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it is.
What were you thinking?
But there's no preservation for like the neighborhood. And to me, that's some of the culture. Like you go to some of these other cities and it's like, you said you lived in Baltimore for a while. Those row homes are still there.
Yeah.
Like they're not knocking them down. And that is part of the identity of Philly. Another example, we have a friend that lives in Philly. Those row homes are part of the culture of a Philly, of Baltimore. And then so you come to Charlotte, it's like, no, we're knocking down all the small homes. And it's like, if it's not 3-4 stories and this much grass left on the property, we're not building it.
I wonder what people in Baltimore would think if you went to a row of those row homes, took one out of the middle of it, and then made it like a big modern block.
Oh, they would revolt. I'm sure that they would absolutely just revolt. But so, all right, I like that. I like that. Okay, let's talk about Splatter.
Yes.
How did you come up with this idea? This is really cool. I think this is like, I remember seeing it before I actually even knew who you were, and I was just like, this is a fun concept. I'm like, and I'm about, especially with this podcast, finding fun things for people to do that don't always revolve around nightlife or drinking. And I'm like, this is a fun thing that people can do. So where did this come from? What is the story of Splatter?
For sure. So I was walking through the Mint Museum, and I was seeing all this artwork, and I was like, wouldn't it be so cool to be inside of a big white room and throw paint all over the walls? It'd be like being inside of a painting, kind of. So I built a wall in my friend's backyard out of plywood, and then I put a floor in there made of plywood, and I painted the whole thing white. And I hung some canvas on the walls, and I started throwing paint around, and I was like, this is so fun. Why doesn't everybody do this? Like, why? I love the piece of art that I made, and it was so easy to make it look really good. I have it in this room right now. Like, why doesn't everybody make this happen? And then I realized it was because they weren't going to hang up tarps in their apartment and lose their security deposit. So instead, if I could just provide the infrastructure, like provide the room, that people could make something that they love without even really thinking about it too much. So when they get this back to their house and people are like, where'd you get that great piece of art? You get to be like, I make my own art. I do it myself. So I started doing this. There was near the Music Factory, there's like a sort of like a warehouse area that has a great view of the city of Charlotte. And there was no retailers there. It was like, everything was just completely abandoned by my eyes. And so I walked up there one day and I was like, this is so cool and big and industrial. Somebody should do something with this. And then I realized that I was the one I was waiting for. So I started painting, and I never asked anybody if I could do it. And nobody talked to me about it for 2 years. And so I was like inviting couples and day dates, and I was doing like 40-person team building exercises there. It was just like this abandoned area.
And nobody was
like,
saying anything.
Somebody will get mad at me eventually, but like it's gonna get knocked down or refurbished or something. Like there's no way that it could exist in this state. And then I got an email that said, cease and desist. We are the property owner and you don't have permission to do this. And I went, thank you for the free rent. I really appreciate it. So I left from there and I went to the Charlotte Art League. That was kind of like what felt like a dream ending, email from them. And I went to the Charlotte Art League the next day and I said, do you guys have space for something like this? And they said, yeah, man, we got a whole room for you right in the back. Like, you can get paint on the walls. We don't even care. And I was like, I don't think you know what you just signed up for, but let's make it happen. So I operated the business out of there for probably 9 months. But by that time, I had built up enough money
You're
that
not paying rent.
Exactly. I mean, I was paying rent for to
Well,
the Charlotte Art
no,
League.
I'm saying the place
in the previous
before.
one, no, I wasn't.
So, are they investors? Kind of.
Technically, yeah. But I had built up enough. I got enough money, like just running the business, that I could rent out a space. And so I came to the Lintman's building in Noda, and I rented this, and here I am.
So this is your full time.
Sure is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, you deliver the paintings.
Yeah.
Can you explain why? I think I am really big on a personal touch for things, and I think that it is cool for maybe it's not you all the time, but for someone to be delivering the painting.
It is me all the time.
So I think that's really cool. So like, what is your thought behind that? That's gas you're spending. That's time you're spending driving around the city instead of just like, hey, come pick up your painting. It's done.
So we have some limits on it. If you live within the 485 belt loop, we'll deliver your painting just included with your session. If you live within like 30 minutes of our studio, but outside of the 485 belt loop, then you just pay us like a small fee and then we'll deliver it. And if you live further than that, like if you're coming from, I have people regularly who are like, we came here from Raleigh, we came here from Greensboro, we came here from Winston-Salem.
You gotta come pick this up.
Yeah, you have to come and pick this up at some point because I'm not going to drive to New York.
Yeah.
So the way that I see it is whenever I've done like an art class or an art event and they're like, okay, we'll let you know when this is finished and then you can come back and pick it up. And then it's like 6 weeks go by and then you're like, I don't know if it's even there because maybe it broke or maybe it's like got messed up because it's so far like in the future. My thought is I want to take that responsibility out of my artist's hands and instead like it's not such a big thing for me to go and do it. It does take a long time, but I think that it's important service-wise for me to offer this like white glove experience where I'm saying you come and paint with me and then all you have to do is paint and then walk out and I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah, I think it's also not like the only personal thing we do. We customize the music to whatever you want to listen to.
I saw that. I enjoyed. I was like, oh, this is because I think that's you don't want to be painting and it's just like no fun.
Right,
so,
right. And what is going to be more fun than you listening to your own stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
We also take pictures and videos of the whole thing while you're doing it, so you don't have to take any pictures or videos of anything. You just get to like be together and be off your phones for a little while and interact with each other. But we'll capture all of that, all those memories for you. And we take great quality videos. So if you wanted to turn it into a reel or into a TikTok or something like that, then you're more than welcome to do that. But because we've made basically all of the content that you need and we have like curated it for you, it means that you can just like plug and play and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
We have tried to think about every part of the experience from the time that you sign up to the time you get your painting back, and even after that, how can we make this as easy as possible for you? So that you don't have to worry about, oh, I gotta like stop every couple of minutes and take pictures of this, otherwise we're gonna lose all these memories, or I'm gonna have to come and pick this painting up. We wanna make sure that our customers have the best experience that they can have, and that's why I'm confident in saying it is the best date in Charlotte, guaranteed.
I'm a customer service head, if you will. Like, there's certain things that like I would go back to a business even if I didn't thoroughly enjoy whatever they were selling, if they have good customer service, because that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you have thought of all the different things and there's not an extra price for them. And that is important to me. That I think there are certain things that if you're going to be in selling a product, a customer service industry like this, I think there's certain things you should think through and just including your price. But the idea that certain places would be like, hey, if you want a playlist, pay us an extra $10, $15. Or if you want us to record your video, that's an extra package for us to do that. And it's like, why would you not include all those things, like you said, that you know everybody's going to want? So that way they can just show up, enjoy the moment, and not have to think about all these other things. So I just really appreciate the fact that you have thought through all of that. I think that's cool. What are some of the coolest memories or moments for you since you've opened Splatter, like here, that have happened? Is it like a family, a team, or like a painting that got turned out? Like, what are some of the ones that really stand out to you?
So the things that really stand out to me are the interactions that we have with a customer, and some of them are, some of them are incredibly happy and joyous, and they're having the time of their lives. Others, it's like they've chosen this as the experience through which they're going to work through something that's been going on in their lives. So regularly during people's sessions, I'll talk to them about their relationship and talk to them about like who they are, and we'll find out this is their 20th anniversary getting married, and they don't really go on too many dates anymore, and we get the opportunity to make it something that's special, that we can really like hone in on the details of their relationship, because we talk to you basically the whole time. We like are kind of comedians where we're like making you laugh and stuff and getting great shots of you. So I'd say that one of the things that has happened recently was there was a couple that had been married, I don't know, maybe a month, and they had just come back. This was like coming off of their honeymoon, and we talked to them about their wedding because it's so like present in their mind. And what did they do? Like a cake cutting? Did they do like a late night snack? How many people were at their wedding? All the different details of their wedding. What were the things that they really loved the most? But we also asked, what was your wedding song? And so they told us, because it was just kind of like in conversation. They didn't really think anything about it.
You queued it
up.
And
then 20 minutes later, their wedding song comes on, and they did their choreographed dance in the room. And they are crying. And like, because it's such a little beautiful moment, it was just them here. We like moved the painting supplies away, and they're in front of their painting, twirling in this room with each other, doing their choreographed dance, and like doing lifts in this room. And it was just so gorgeous to see two people who are very much in love, like enjoying their time together. And that exact thing, like people doing their wedding dance together, maybe not choreographed, happens once a week. We get to see that lovely moment all the time. And it's a beautiful thing when people cry here, because they're crying. I just think it's absolutely lovely to see people who are so overcome with emotion that they just stand and sort of sway with each other. And it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Like they're like weeping because of how romantic it is to them, how much this person means to them. And all we want to do is highlight that for each other, for the two of them, and then kind of get out of the way. So you can just be in the room alone, not even really thinking about what you're doing, but you're just like engaging with the person who's in front of you.
The canvas is a physical piece you take away, but there are so many other moments and special things that happen in the space while the canvas is created.
What I consistently say is that the canvas, the painting, is not our product.
It's the experience.
The experience is our product. The painting is like a byproduct of you making something. It's just something for you to do while you're being together, making something together. And all we do is take out any of the points of friction so that you can live in the moment with each other for an hour and just spend a little bit of time together. The painting is a great reminder of that. So when you put it in your house and you see it, you're like, oh, that little blue spot. I remember when you did that, like how fun was that? Or a conversation piece when people come over. And it's not like when I said before, people say, where'd you get that great piece of art? You get to say, I make my own art. But it isn't simply that you're making this art. It's also that this art is kind of a representation of how you two work together, how you interact with each other when you're working on a project with one another. And it's when people say like, or when I say that people say that they make their own art, it isn't simply just the painting. It's like the art of their relationship with one another. They're actively making that together. And by coming into the room, they're choosing intentionally to create something.
Man, that is...
To create like a moment with each other.
That is special. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm not giving you my wedding song because we don't need tears today. But I'm excited to do it. I think it'll be great. Another thing you're involved in that you and Bryan, I should have just interviewed the two of you together.
Sure. Yeah.
Residency Charlotte.
Yes.
Who texted or called the other person first with this idea?
Yeah.
Can you explain what it is for people who have never heard it?
So Bryan and I have been friends for a really long time, and we have a similar view on customer service, people's experience when they walk in the room. And we've kind of, I think, been circling the idea of doing something together for a little while. And Bryan is really obviously big in the restaurant world, and my focus in the short time that I've been a business owner has been focused on customer experience. So it's kind of like a natural, I think, fit together. So when we were talking about something that we wanted to do, the idea of highlighting, Bryan really had the idea of highlighting different artists in their different creative capacities within Charlotte. So giving a comedian a space to work, or giving a local musician the space to work, giving physical, like visual artists, space that they need, and giving them a crowd, giving them an audience, and trying to lift everybody else up. I think Bryan has been really involved in the creative community for a while doing exactly that.
Yeah.
But we had gone on a trip together and seen a representation of this business idea. And so we thought Charlotte would really do well to have something like this that is not exactly like this, but it's like we make it our own.
Yeah.
And so the idea behind Residency is it's basically like the best part of a wedding, where everybody's on the dance floor singing their favorite songs together, and you're connecting with each other, looking in each other's eyes, and just like melting into that moment for a little while, and sort of losing yourself in the music. And so we wanted to highlight local artists coming in and playing their music, or playing the music of really popular genres, really popular artists, people like Chappell Roan or Taylor Swift. Our next night is an emo night where we're doing like Blink-182, Paramore, a little bit of Green Day.
For the early 2000s kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so giving those people the space to sort of be in the same room and scream sing these songs at the same time with each other, it is, like I said, it's like singing in the car with everybody.
Yeah.
Singing in the shower, but you've got 200 people around you all
You
singing
and Bryan
together.
use that exact same thing. Singing in the car with you both.
It's a great example of it, because when you're in the car by yourself, you are louder than you've ever been.
It's true. That's true. I think I can hit all the notes that I'm nowhere close to hitting.
Right.
So my question then for you, Chappell Roan and Taylor Swift, not my cup of tea.
Right.
The emo one, surprisingly, some of those throwbacks hit hard when you're out somewhere.
You hit everybody.
When are you guys gonna give us some like R&B
For sure.
type nights, like an Usher, even like early 2000s Drake, personally T-Pain.
Okay,
I don't know
great.
how many other people would go, but I am a T-Pain fan.
I should be writing this down.
I would love, if there's a T-Pain night, I might just come by myself and I'll be the only person.
It'd be so
singing.
fun. But like the idea that, you love a specific artist, and when that song comes, like if you're in a club or something and that song comes on, it is like a moment for you. We want to give you that moment over and over and over again, one after another, with all of your friends around you. And it's just a huge party.
I sent the Taylor Swift one when I saw it. There are these friends that I have a friend from Tech that lives here, and I've gotten to meet her girl group of friends. You ever meet the girl group that rolls everywhere really deep? Like Halloween, it was like 12 of them.
9, 10
people.
people.
I'm like, you guys move in like a large pack, but they're all Taylor Swift fans. So I literally saw the residency for Taylor Swift, and I was like, sent it to a couple of them, like, hey, for you and the girls to go do, like, here's
For sure.
Taylor Swift night here in Charlotte that you guys can go sing your hearts out. I will not be in attendance, but go ahead, have a ball. But I think it's a really fun idea for people to. Are you at every single one of them?
Yeah. It was, and the Taylor Swift one was really fun as well, because we had Venus Tattoos there doing pop-up tattoos. So people got to do like a flash tattoo of a little Taylor Swift specific design. And people were actually getting multiple tattoos on their body, which to me, I don't have any tattoos. Seems like such a huge commitment, but the idea that they were doing that at our event is like, you want to remember being in the room with all of these people, like just like this.
I have 2 tattoos. I sat on both of them for a year.
Really?
Before I got them.
Yeah.
Like I am not like hey, let's just walk in and go get it.
Nope. Me neither.
No, it's absolutely, I need to know that I know. Like I am the person who was like, when I got my first one, it was a week before I graduated college. And I literally was thinking about my entire life before getting this. I'm like, okay, what jobs do I see myself having? Where does this need to be? What part of my body?
Way more forethought, I feel like, than a lot of tattoo people have.
I'm like, it's on my rib. I'm like, my rib is good because even if I gain weight, you don't gain weight right on your rib. It's gonna be belowhand. I was like, so with aging, it won't stretch out in a weird place. Or if I put on a bunch of muscle, I'll be okay. And I'm like, my rib is a good spot. So then when I got my second one, I was like, I still got another side. So just
I got the other rib.
I was like, go ahead, hit the other rib. So that's how I'm thinking about my next one now. And I'm like, okay, I'm work in healthcare. I need to be able to cover it up.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I've got a work event, I might wear shorts. Okay, where can I put it that like
Butt cheek. You'd do it. I feel like you would. What is the tattoo that you would get? What's the next one?
It is gonna be a clock.
Well, that's perfect for a butt. It's round. It's perfect for a butt. It fits right there.
The more detail I add to it, the worse it's gonna get because at the 12, 3, 6,
it's a clock.
and 9.
It's Clocksworth from Beauty and the Beast.
No.
It's an old English clock on your butt.
It is like 12, 3, 6, and 9, and instead of the numbers, it'll just say "Hard times don't last," which is a lyric from.
It's also pretty good for a butt.
Like exactly. That's
Hard times don't last. And then when you walk,
I'm gonna get through it.
When you walk, it can dance. I think honestly, I would say you edit it so that it is Clocksworth.
Oh no.
You do Clocksworth, I'll get Lumiere, the candelabra.
I think your wife might hate me, and I haven't even met her yet. I don't think she's gonna. So you're the one that got him to get on his butt.
Yeah,
really?
I think it would just be another eye roll, which is like one of the things that we have. It's such a great connection that we have that whenever I'm doing something like this, she just goes, "Oh my God,
dude, my wife too." She is. I literally
cheers to you.
I literally can be saying
a man
something,
of culture,
and I'm like, I just know she's rolling her eyes, and she's over there. Oh, Shay. But like the great thing is, even since college, she has been like that. Like people would come to her in college and be like, "Can you believe Shay said this?" And Althea goes, "You think I'm gonna change him?" She goes, "That is who he is. If you don't like it, get over it. But that is him.
I want to marry you right now."
I was just like, my girl. It's like I appreciate this. Okay, I have to ask this question because I think it's important because I want to learn this about you.
Mm-hmm.
And all this journey from whether it's art here, residency, or improv that you're involved in, what have you learned about yourself in these pursuits? And what do you look back on and it's like, I'm glad I've gotten to this point now?
So I think the thing that it's like something that I've always kind of known, but I think it's become incredibly important as I've been doing these things, is thinking about how to do any of these creative pursuits with as much kindness and empathy as possible is really the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who really cares too much about like, how much money am I making, or is this going to be, obviously a business needs to be profitable, but to me, it's less important to make as much money as possible and more important to give people an experience that they're never going to forget, because those two things, making a business profitable and giving people an experience that they're never going to forget, kind of go hand in hand. And so if I want to succeed in anything that I'm doing, I think that the thing that I've learned is that I need to be giving people the experience that I would want. Yeah. What is the thing that would wow me?
Yeah.
And how can I do that well and efficiently? How can I make it so that other people are also on board for that same idea and everybody's sort of executing on the same mission? But giving people more than they expect, for the sake of giving people more than they expect, will ultimately lead you to success elsewhere. And so it's been a really amazing journey for me to learn just how impactful that is.
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking about, people dancing in the middle of this room and crying because they're listening to their wedding song, or people who have just gotten over or who are trying to move through, navigate the death of a loved one, and they're in here to sort of give that person, like, to make a memory and sort of let some of that emotion go. The ability to provide that space, but then also make it more special, make it something that they're never going to forget because they really enjoyed their time, or something particularly meaningful happened while they were here, it lights me up and makes me want to do it more. It just makes me want to spread that feeling even more.
Absolutely.
We had a couple who came in here, and they had, I believe it was like the second anniversary of their child passing away, which is obviously devastating.
Yeah.
Nobody can really heal that wound ever. But when they were painting, somebody threw some red paint on this canvas, and it landed in the shape of a cardinal, which is sort of like a symbol that a lot of people believe that if you see a cardinal, then that is your loved one who's passed away, who's like coming back and checking on you. And so they're doing this, and they told us that they were doing it because they had lost somebody in their family, and then this cardinal appears in their artwork.
I would have broke.
Yeah, I mean, the person who was working here at the time, who was running that session, said that it was like so difficult to not cry because we want to be fun. We want to make sure that it's a fun, exciting experience. But what a special thing to be able to give to people. And it only happens because we're giving them the chance to like do something themselves, giving them maybe more than they expected throughout their session, something that's more meaningful. And ultimately it leads to us finding just as much value in doing that session as they do.
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, how can people support you? What are the socials that they need to be following for all the things that Tim is doing?
So Splatter Charlotte, splatter.clt on Instagram and TikTok is where I do most of my work.
I would tell you your video about where you're located. You started doing those recently. I paid a lot of attention to them. I knew exactly where to park and what door to come in. So it's working.
I've been in a very serious fight with Google Maps for a very long time.
Well, it worked.
And so now I'm just taking matters into my own hands. So Splatter Charlotte on Instagram, and then also Shameless Improv, which is Shameless Society. It's one of the improv groups that I'm a part of. Sunday Supper Improv Comedy is another improv group that I'm a part of, and we've been together for a very long time. We do fantastic shows at the Comedy Arts Theater of Charlotte. And then finally, Residency CLT is our music experience. And we're really excited about the parties that we're throwing coming up, because it's just an opportunity for us to kind of get with people that all share a love of the same music and let them go wild.
Man, Tim, thank you. This is fun. We have really good energy for very early in the morning. I just want to say that this has been great. I've enjoyed it. I think you are doing customer service the right way, and I think this is one of the experiences that I'm honored I get to highlight, that, hey, our city is cool. Look at these things that we have.
Thank you.
And they get to have a fun time. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. And for now, Queen City out.